show. This is a very exciting episode for us. We got a longtime friend, David Shankle, the Shred Master. Dave, how are you doing today? What are you up to?
Jason, Tom, you guys, thank you for having me on here. I mean, Jason, you and I go way back. We've done several interviews. They've always been wonderful. And I know this can be a very long interview, but, over the last 2-3 years, I've been involved in 3-4 bands and,
Sure.
I couldn't be happier. And I'm over halfway done, about 70% done with all 3 of the next records with 3 different bands,
Wow.
3 different styles, and, pretty happy about that. And I don't know if you can see my new line of signature guitars with Viper.
Wow.
I got out, I can pull up and show a few. And,
Sure.
I've had my own line of hot sauce out for a while, and I'm going to be working on a 3rd bottle. We got the David Shankle full shred.
Wow, full shred.
Can see that. This is kind of mild, but for some people, maybe not. And then we have the Shred Demon, which will kick the shit out of you, if you like that. So, this is for everybody. With my people at Hellfire Hot Sauce, I appreciate everything they've done for me. And we're going to work on a 3rd bottle, which will be in between the 2 with hotness, called Soul Stealer.
Wow. Now let me ask you,
David, imagine that.
Are these your recipes that you came up with?
Well, what it is, it started with them, and then they sent to me, and then I started learning. Look, when this happened, I called Johnny, my manager. I said, I don't know a freaking thing about hot sauce. These guys, I was playing in Valeside with Tony Angle, who's my singer in GraveReign, and it was, I was sitting with Valeside. It was Sebastian Bach, Queensryche, Dokken. We were hanging out with Don Dokken, and I'm on the stage, and I'm like, what is this cool looking red truck way out in the field that had the skull on it? And when we got done doing the show, we all walked up to it. It was Hellfire Hot Sauce. And the owner and his wife were like, we're getting into doing signature stuff. And I'm like, I do signature guitars and strings and tremolos and pickups. I don't know anything about hot sauce. So to make a long story short, I started to learn about it, and we put it off for a while. And about 2 years later, we finally got into it, and I started learning about it, and we came up with those 2. And we're working on a 3rd one. And, if people are interested in it, you can get it through the GraveReign website, the www.gravereignband.com. That's our website for that. Or you can go directly to www.hellfirehotsauce.com. And they're right here in Lake Geneva, and I'm up here in Milwaukee, so I can get to them pretty quickly. But that's how that came about. And, it's worked pretty good for me and for them. And, and it was a new learning thing for me, and, and I enjoyed it, something different. And I'm like, okay, we'll try this. And I love it. It worked out great.
Do you know if they carry any restaurants or anything like that, or just people order from the website?
What it is, if you're familiar with it's the Castle, Cheese Castle, up here next to the Broad Stop in Wisconsin. They carry all their stuff. They got a shelf of my stuff in there. And they just got distributors overseas now in Italy and San Sebastian and Brazil that you could start to ship stuff to. But this stuff is so petite, they're starting to get it in like Harley Davidson motorcycle shops. So if guys walk in there, how cool is that? Harley Davidson biker guys, you know what I mean? And you can get hot sauce. So they're working on doing that. And that's a great idea, not just mine. If mine's in there, I'm happy to have mine in there. Thank you. But just to get it in there, more people to see it and know about it, and it's all for the better.
Wow. So do you guys have any questions you'd like to ask David?
Yeah. I want to ask him about the Viper guitars. Actually, they're a great guitar line. When I was at the NAMM show with Rhino, because we played out there, Viper actually gave us the passes to the NAMM show. And I think Rhino took some pictures of you and the guitars up there. You sent it to. What a great guitar. How did you end up getting endorsed by Viper?
Well, thank you for asking. Yeah. Jeff had told me he was able to help hook you guys up. And I told him, thank you. I said, that's Rhino, my guy I brought into Manowar when Scott was leaving. I said, these people are family to me.
Sure.
So what it was I have been through several different companies, and I won't get into the names. And Jason, as you know, a lot of the companies.
Sure.
And when you do an endorsement, Tom, it's if I like a product, Jason and Tom, and even if I'm not endorsing that company, I'm happy to buy it because I want it and I believe in it and I want to use it.
Yeah.
And when I've been endorsed with other companies, I've been with EMG pickups and Kaler tremolo with signature Kaler tremolos in my bars, and they've always worked. And I've been with them and Gary Kaler and everybody at EMG. And if the thing that happens when people are with endorsement companies and they leave is different people start to come in, different artist reps, different managers, and then they start to have different visions for not only me, but other artists that are on there. And sometimes, Tom, as you know, being a business person, those things don't always fly. Sometimes change is good, sometimes change isn't good. And yeah, roll with the changes, but if that change don't roll with you, hey, there's the door. Okay, so Jeff at Viper, for about 2 years before I signed with him, he had been texting me, coming at me, going, "Hey man, I build guitars. What do you think of my stuff?" And I was checking him out for a while, and I was still with a company overseas at the time, and that was kind of coming near the end for all kinds of issues that he had. But God bless him. And I'm like, I'm going to reach out to Jeff now finally, and say, send me a couple of your guitars for me to check out. And he goes, I'd be happy to. So he sent them out to me. I was checking out a Flying V, some of his other guitars. He sent the one that's got all the skulls on it, that's blue and all that. And I said, I'm liking these. I'm digging it. And he said, I want to build you, a really kick-ass guitar we can design together. And I said, well, I think I'm going to take you up on that. To make a long story short, I said, Jeff, you have never built a shred machine until you build mine. And I'm going to step you through what to do besides the master, woodmanship that he has as a builder in mind. And Robert Daniels from Third Coast and Chris Evie, they own the company in Chicago. He has been my main, luthier for over 35 years. Before I was even with Manowar, and every guitar that was ever built for me by these so-called masters has always gone to RD to either refret it, shave the neck to get the fretboard level, pull this off, make sure the Kaler's on, and his hands are the last hands to touch it to get the dragster ready to go down the track. Well, I got together with Jeff and I designed the body. He has a great design. He came up for the neck to come down into the back of the body. If you can see this, guys, Tom, if you can see this, you can see it from the back. Super cutaway. So when you reach up on the 7th fret, look at all the room you got there. All the problem area is out of the way, so you're not hitting. So this is Fafnir, which I bought the rights to, and Bo Pittman out of Alabama, who paints racing cars and motorcycles and worked for other companies to paint, hand painted this one for me, and one of my students have bought one. So this is the 7-string there. But look at the back, if you can see it, if I can get it this way, how the neck comes down like it's a ramp, the way it bolts on. So when you slide up on there, Tom, with your thumb, you don't feel like a regular guitar that's got that big heel there that's bolted up. It's just smooth all the way up and all the way down. And all my guitars are designed that way. That that was Jeff's idea, and that we combined our ideas together. And I've got the first DS6. Now I got the Fafnir. I have an 8-string, that I use, and on my 8-string, I don't put the low 8-string above the low B, because for some of the stuff I do, I'm already tuned a full step down. I don't need to go any lower in that. So the high string on this one, just in case you guys are curious, it's whether it's A440 or a full step down, I put the 8 string above the E string. So when I'm shredding insanely, I can get that high violin screaming sound, and then go down to the 7 string into the low cello range. Whether I tune it to A440 or not, the only thing that's weird is you got to get used to it. Tom, as a guitar player, when you make a D chord, you got to come up one set of strings because your 8th string is above the E. And this is the DS8, same neck design, if you can see that. I hope I'm holding it okay, Tom. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that perfect. It's great.
And this one's a 2 pickups because EMG doesn't make an active single coil that's it for 8 string, which is okay. And these are my big, long, mighty. Originally had made them, but Gary Kaler makes these for me. They're called the Shred Bar. And then I have custom stuff in here that's made for me. I'm a Kaler guy, always have been, but I use the Floyd Rose clampy nut and real thin and flat. I use a 14-inch radius instead of a 12 because you can get the action a little closer to whip around because I play so slow, you know. And I use my front wire is custom made for me through Stuart McDonald, which is called StuMac. I like low wide, even though jumbo frets are cool, but for what I'm doing, you know, everybody has, you know, their taste, you know, what they like. So Jeff and I got together, started to design and make things work out. And then, you know, he just updated his website to get things better for all the artists. And he's got great artists on there too. Jimmy Bell's done some stuff on guitar if they're from Autograph. And, you know, the guys from Armored Saints, Ronnie North, a good friend of mine, he's on there. So I've been with Jeff for about 3.5, 4 years. We got 4 guitars and, you know, we'll be working on some other alien stuff to come out soon. And I'm happy, and Jeff and I get along great. We're on the same page, and you know, I learned some things from him, and he learned things from me and RD, and we just, you know, work together as a machine to be well oiled, and everybody's happy. It went very well, so that's how I got with Viper.
Wow,
awesome.
And you know, you mentioned Rhino. You know, our good friend Rhino. You brought into Manowar. You shared with me that you and him are working on a new project. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yep. Rhino and I started talking just well over the years about doing something together, and we finally been able to find the time. And when we started talking about it, I said, you know, we're not trying. This is not me and Rhino trying to be Manowar Part 2. You know, he's been doing Angels of Babylon. I've got 3 successful DSG records out right after I left Manowar, and there's no bad blood with that. The Ashes to Ashes was distributed through Joey and oh god, I can't think, Nuclear Blast. And then the Hellborn CD was distributed through Joey, and we went to Europe for the Magic Circle Fest and released it there. So Joey and I and Eric, we're all, like I said earlier, Tom, things change, always do. We're still brothers of true metal, and all is good. But I really had a chance to show people, Tom, how I play guitar, how I write as a composer, melody, how I can help singers, the best of them in the studio. And my 3 first DSG records really showed everybody, and I'm proud of them, and everybody in those bands would be what I'm capable of doing than from what I did in Manowar, you know, and that was a big stepping stone for me. So when Rhino and I talked, it was like, I came up with the name, and he loved it, you know, because everything I do with any of my bands, there's me and one other person that does this, and Rhino goes, what do you got? I said, how about Kings of the New Kingdom? Wow. And he went, oh, that's great. So we got my Photoshop art guy together to just come up with some stuff. And we have some guest artists that are on there. You know, here's how it works real quick to save time. I write 5 songs and write all the music, the bass, the guitars, multi-guitars, all the solos. I'll program basic drums. I'll send that to Rhino and go, what do you think? And then he'll go, okay, I'm really digging this. This sounds phenomenal. Then I'll send him a version with no drums so he can go in his studio and play real drums and come back to me. And then that'll go then either to my singer, Michael Stark, who's singing for Kings of the New Kingdom, who I put in Fëanor, who replaced Sven Dionis, who was our singer on the Power of the Chosen One record, and he's in Wizard. He's doing a guest vocal with us on the title track. for Kings of the New Kingdom. Michael Stark is our singer, and he sings with Stormburner, and I'm doing guest solos on that record.
Wow.
I'm on 32 guest solo CDs, and so I do a lot of guest solo work. Tom, I do a lot of guest solo work.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah.
With a lot of hot sauce, buddy. But Rhino and I working together again was just meant to be, because he's a composer and a writer. He's done great stuff with Angels of Babylon. And now we come together, and then when he's got an idea, he'll send me over one guitar, he'll play bass, and then he'll have a programmed drums, and he's singing on one or two of the songs, and he's got a couple of guest singers, and I've got a few guest singers, and one more surprise that could be coming. And then I'll take his 3 tracks with a drum machine, one guitar and bass, and then I'll just throw it in my mixing bowl and completely redo the thing with multi-guitars, the solos, all that. And then I don't have to play bass anymore, neither does Rhino, because we got Mike LaPont from Symphony X. He's playing bass in the band. I brought him in, and he plays with Rhino in another band where they're at. I think it's a cover band they do. And I've done work with Mike with Wings of Destiny, which is another band. So the whole thing just worked out to be in a family. So Rhino and I do the writing, his stuff, my stuff. We put it all together, and we got, Mike Stark singing, and we got Mike LaPont. So we are Kings of the New Kingdom. And let me tell you, it is ferocious, it is powerful, and it is a combination of his style and my style from like DSG. And in the middle, Tom, there's a little bit of hint of Manowar, but Manowar, that was what I wrote with Joey and brought Rhino in on drums. And I'm proud of Triumph of Steel. It's still to this day, and can be proved, one of the best-selling Manowar records to date, and is double platinum or more now. And I love all the Manowar records that they have done. Wow. Okay, regardless who's in the band now playing guitar, that's a whole nother story for another time. And we're all, and all of us are friends, as the Michael Badio and I, we played on each other's records. He played on Hellborn, he played on Still a Warrior, and I played on one of his CDs. It's all good. Like I said, things change, always do. But I move on, and I'm happy. And Rhino and I couldn't be happier. I mean, we're just locking, and we're almost done writing this, and then we're already talking about a second record, and we don't even have the first one out.
Yeah.
That's just a matter of time. We gotta always think ahead. Well, when you put this one out, I want to have another one we're working on in the bag, just like with GraveReign and what I'm doing with Wings of Destiny. So with me and Rhino, it's two brothers coming together again that were meant to be. And it is what it is, man. We both couldn't be happier.
And I imagine you guys are going to take it on the road, right? Once the record drops.
Well, we're hoping to do some shows. We'll definitely, with all the bands, have videos and lyric videos, because that's just common to have. But we definitely, with Johnny, the plan is for us to do some shows. So that'd be nice. And if we can get the record landed where it'll make sense and do some good, and you can get out there, distribute it into the right place, that's all good, and we're looking forward to that. So we're excited, and we'll hope it'll do well for our Manowar fans, but also our other fans, Angels of Babylon, and my DSG fans, Wings of Destiny, GraveReign fans, and just keep it all in the family with everybody.
Wow. And Dave, like you were saying at the top of today's episode, you and me go way back, and I've probably interviewed you at least 10 or 11 times over the years, and without you even being aware of this, you played a small role in Tom becoming the new co-host of this show, because I don't know if you remember, but about a year and a half ago, I get a text from you when I'm at work. You text me and you say, hey Jason, it's David Shankle. I just want to let you know that Annie's doing the interview with you today. And I'm like, I told Tom, later, Annie, I know, and I'm usually like well aware of who's going to be on the show, who I'm interviewing. I'm like, Annie, who's he talking about? And then Tom kind of put this show together where he told me, hey, Jason, my band held hostage. We're going to do a show I want to promote. Could I come and do an interview? And he didn't tell me that he'd arranged to have these other guests on. And so Annie was one of the guests. Ethan Broch was one of the guests. And we had a couple other Tom's friends that was doing the show with him. and I didn't really know this. It was kind of kept as a secret until we actually did the show that day. And I thought, man, not only was it kind of really a fun episode to do, but I thought if Tom could pull off this kind of show and this could be this much fun, he's the guy that I want to ask to be my new co-host here. And
right. And now, and how about that? That when I saw him the first time, I didn't even know it was him.
Yeah.
And then when I saw that Rhino was doing the interview and Tom was involved in it, and that I reached out to you, and he was like, "He's your co-host." I'm like, "Well, how did you know of Tom?" And I'm like, "Tom, that's good. You're with Jason because we love Jason, and what two better people to be together?" And you know, when Johnny came to me and was telling me about Tom before I ever met him, and label and Fire Rock Records, and you know, talk business and stuff, that Johnny's plan was, you know, he's got Annie B that I turned, you know, my girlfriend onto Johnny, and you know, I want to have you do this with Rhino. That sounds great. You're making it happen. You know, maybe between Annie B, Kings of the New Kingdom, and GraveReign, you know, you never know. We may all land up at the same place, and it's all one big family. And you know, we'll see how that works out, but it certainly can be a possibility if the dice are rolled right, you know,
Sure.
without getting into that online here. You know what I'm saying, Tom?
I bring it up only because it's an interesting kind of
Yeah.
backstory, but I know you.
Like I said, I didn't even know it was him. Nobody even told me it was
Dave.
him. And I'm like,
Dave.
"Oh, well, thanks, Annie, for not telling me it was Tom. I didn't even know who I was. I see this cool looking biker guy." I'm like, "Okay, who's this guy?" I'm like, "I don't even know who this guy is, and he seems cool." And then after we all hang up, I'm like, "That was Tom. Thank you."
Hey, Dave, I got even more to add to the story, because after we did that interview and Tom agreed to be the new co-host here, I had no idea. People might think this is calculated. I had no idea that he was even the president of a record company. That had just recently taken place, and I found this out after the fact. And it just it's helped.
So you didn't even know that at that time, then?
Yeah, which is interesting. Yeah.
I kind of kept it on the down low, you know, when they brought me in, because I said I wanted the label to be all about the artists. I don't give a fuck about the label. The artist is the ones that have to make the money. If you want me to come in here, it's going to be geared towards the artists. They agreed to do that. And that's why.
That's
why
a very good attitude to have. That's cool. Exactly. I like that. That's
what I think is cool about Fire Rock is that the president of the company is an actually musician. And here's another funny story. I in one of our previous episodes, I was joking with Tom. Hey, I think it's cool that you're an actual musician, the president of Fire Rock. It's not like you know, typical suit at a record label. He says, "Hey, I'm the suit now at the label." You know?
right. All right, I get you. Tom, you had to straighten him out, didn't you? Absolutely. Basically what you did. Like, son, let me sit you down and really explain to you what's going on here, okay?
Yeah,
that's all good. And not to mention, Tom, you know, I've heard your record you did. You had Tim Ripper Owens singing on it. You know, great job, good songs, really good production. That's cool. And I know Rhino's doing some stuff with you now, and he went out to, you know, to LA, and you know, and you got to see Viper and be at the, you know, the Heavy Metal Award show. That's very, very cool, man. You know, and I hope as the future rolls on, we can talk about, you know, doing stuff together. Let's leave it at that while we're right here, you know.
Yeah. For
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm open to that. I'm all about musicians and everything and helping them. And hey, Annie B is part of the family, and you're part of the family. I can tell you that right now. We want everybody to be successful. When people call me,
that's good to hear that. Thank you for that.
I get calls every day, and somebody says, "Hey, Tom, why don't Held Hostage? We get you guys to play out here." And I say, "Well, we can't do that. But you know what? Let's talk about these other bands I got." The first thing I do is I start pitching the bands on the label, saying, "Let's think about getting these guys out here for next year and stuff."
Right.
So there's a lot of good things that are going to happen in 2025 for all our artists. Especially after they get released, you know. So
now that you've got it going for a while, and you know, and you're getting things happening, and the website up, and you know, I don't know if you do, but also common stuff is a YouTube channel for the bands of your label, for the bands, whether they do a lyric video or a full video that draws traffic. A website is one thing, but then having the record label YouTube channel to where bands can, you know, people can be geared to see the bands with their videos and stuff. That's another thing too. And you know, like you said, you're growing in a process right now. You
I mean,
you're
we're working
nurturing
with,
it.
we're working with Roku. We're working with a lot of different things happening for all the artists on the label, you know, and in the show too. I mean, we've got a lot of great things happening behind the scenes. So we're trying to grow it the right way. We just don't want to just throw stuff out there. But you're correct.
Certainly.
There will be a Fire Rock YouTube channel. But we also we're making a deal to get our artists in some of the biggest platforms out there. We want them to be heard.
Yeah,
know?
Oh, that's the way to do that. You know, and you got all the help you can get from Johnny Pendergrass as well. And I know you're
Yep.
friends with him, Tom. So you know, that's great. So, you know, this sounds great and interesting. And I've heard, you know, a bit from Johnny that he's needed to tell me and Andy, but you know, it'll be good when we can to talk off of here and talk to my singer from GraveReign, Tony Angle. And, you know, and as Johnny, we all get involved as we move forward and actually turn you on to some of this tremendous music that I've got going with GraveReign and, you know, Kings of the New Kingdom. And, you know, and see what we can do. You know, I think, Tom, we should just keep Jason out of it because all he wants to do is talk online here, you know, about old stuff. All he wanted was to get hot sauce from me. That's it. I'm just kidding, brother. I love you, man.
I know you do. I know it's all joking and fun, but you know, Tom, I don't know if you saw this last night. Me and Dave were announcing that he was going to do a show today. We just put up an announcement on our Facebook page, and it's amazing what this guy can do marketing wise, because just from me posting a picture and him leaving a comment, it went from like you know, a 20 post reach to like 1.4K or something like that, like
Nice.
within just an hour, you know.
Oh, that's moving traffic. You know, some people say, you know, don't spend so much time on social media. Well, there's pros and cons to that.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of channels, you want to share your stuff, tag it, get it out to any of the proper group pages. I mean, I have 4 Facebook pages that are personal pages because I got so many people trying to be friends and fans. You can't put this 5,000 limit. That's bullshit. But, you know, you get it out there, and I use the other ones to advertise my teaching. You know, like if people want lessons, you know, we have the Milwaukee Music Academy people can reach out to, or come to me on my main Facebook page, David Shankle, inbox or Instagram. I've been teaching for 35 years professionally.
Wow.
It's what I do and what Annie does. But social media these days is stronger, and YouTube has changed from what it was 5-10 years ago. And you have to have a strong amount of social media out there besides having the band playing out. And also, I'm sure, Tom, you will agree, people want swag. Me and Tony, we are swag freaks. I mean, all kinds of different t-shirts. We have everything from hats, t-shirts, stickers, buttons, cigarette lighters, you name it that we think
we gotta
will
wrap
work.
it up. We're about ready to get cut off, but this was great, Dave. We'll be talking to you, Dave. Thanks for doing this, man.
Thanks for having me. New GraveReign, Kings of the New Kingdom, and Wings of Destiny coming.
Hey, Damien here. If you like today's show, please be sure to subscribe by clicking the link in the lower right-hand corner or on our page. Thanks for tuning in.